National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett joining us now in a first on CNBC interview. Kevin, it's great to have you on to kick off the coverage. I learned something today. I learned what a vestigial bone is. So I guess my question to you
your appendix is a vestigial organ as well. But anyway.
Or pinky perhaps, or apparently the tail that I possess. Either way, Kevin, are thoughts of a rate hike a vestigial bone in the market? Should we put those to rest?
You know, I think that President Trump and the entire economic team have a super high regard for the stewardship of Kevin Warsh at the Fed, and we expect him to do the right thing, which is be an independent Fed that looks at the data, looks at the best models, and then makes the best judgment that he can. That we trust his judgment. That's why he's been appointed to the Fed, and we look forward to seeing how he moves forward. I can say there's been so many positive developments that he's brought in all these outside advisors that are going to reevaluate the Fed models. And so on. And so I think that his stewardship at the Fed is already a home run. And this meeting, we'll see how it goes. But the fact is that our confidence in Kevin Warsh could never be higher.
Kevin, it's Kelly here. One of the economists I was reading has just suggested of all the task forces that Warsh is creating, there's not one to deal with the following possibility, which is a U.S. debt downgrade. The fiscal deficit situation, not great, worse than last year. Debt to GDP, not great, historical bads. What would you say about that? Is that something that the Fed has to react to? Is that partly why we're in the situation that we're in?
You know, I don't think that any of us think there's any reason at all why U.S. debt should be downgraded. That if you look at for example, the reductions in government employment that we've enacted over the last year and a half, maybe 300,000 jobs down, that means that the long-run budget situation is moving in the positive direction, not the negative direction. So I think the Fed probably, if they were really worried about it, they might have had a task force on that. But the fact is that they look ahead and think about what are the problems that the Fed will face, and I think they've got a heck of a really great set of people there thinking about it, people who I've known throughout my career. And if I were setting up a task force, I'd have chosen the same people.
You know, the CPI number, consumer price index, the inflation reading effectively, that's been coming down the last few months. But you also know, Kevin, very well, that is backdated. It not only looks back a month, but it's also at the same time dealing with data and inflationary points that we may have gotten a few months ago. Are you making precautions or anything like that in the event that oil prices remain higher for longer? How are you and your team thinking about the chance, a very real chance, that those inflationary inputs may be a little more than we think this summer?
Well, if you look at the futures markets, they expect oil prices, which have blipped up in the last few days, to drop sharply over the next few months. And the thing, though, when I look at the CPI, which is one of the better CPI, Consumer Price Index reports that I've seen in a long, long time, if you look outside of energy, if you look at the bones of the CPI report, you can see that our policies are having a really big positive effect on reducing inflation. And so, for example, drug prices are way down and things like that. And so the bones of the last CPI weren't really related to energy at all. And we think that's because of the dereg policies, the drug policies, the Trump RX. All of those things are showing up in the data and will continue to. And so that's why I think that anyone who looks at the latest CPI would have to say you got to be really bullish on the Fed's ability to control inflation, because basically they're working in tandem with the White House to lower costs for everybody.